Today we have a very interesting video because I'm showing you how to think. As I've always explained to you, how to think is more important than how to actually do the physical, mechanical wiring principles. In any business, the mind is more powerful than the hand. You may not realize it. You may be thinking subconsciously, but you're thinking. All the time, you're thinking. As I've always tried to remind you, that one of the great pleasures of bonsai is being able to solve a problem. All bonsai creation is about problem solving. And the fascination of bonsai lies in solving a problem. Why do we call it problem solving? Because you're faced with a tangle of branches and you're trying to sort out chaos and make it orderly and refined. I have here three very interesting Kisu junipers. This is Juniperus chinensis and the variety is Kisu. If I can remind you again, among the Chinese junipers, there are scores of different varieties, all slightly different. At the moment, everyone goes crazy after Itoigawa because that is the most fashionable of all the Chinese junipers. But there's Kisu, there's Tohoku, but they're all Chinese junipers. In fact, the Chinese juniper species is a very big one. Even your San Jose juniper is Juniperus chinensis San Jose. So many Chinese junipers within that genus. But the species Juniperus chinensis is particularly popular as bonsai species. Now these trees were imported from Japan some years ago and they were quite small, but I've been growing it on the nursery for the last 5 or 7 years in these flower pots just to get them thicker and bigger. So you can see in a few years you get these long shoots. I've just let them grow unchecked. Look at all those long shoots. And by letting the shoots grow long, you make the tree strong. If you keep pruning it back, it doesn't make much growth and the trunk will never thicken. So if you want a thick trunk, you just let it grow unchecked, just to swell the trunk. So we have three very interesting examples here, and I'm going to show you my thought process behind these trees. I've got to the stage now, as I say, I don't want to be too greedy and wait forever for the trunks to thicken. I think it's thick enough and it's time that I start doing some work on it because so many people keep worrying me to buy these trees. So finally I've said I'm going to sell some of these trees so that they can work on it. So the first thing is all these little dead twigs that you get, just remove them. The first process in any type of refinement or styling exercise is to get rid of the obvious debris that you aren't likely to use. If you have a thick dead branch, you may consider keeping it for jins, but apart from that, just cleaning the tree up will give you some idea, better idea as to what the tree looks like. So let's look at each of these trees in turn. If you look closely at this tree, it's got very beautiful curly twisty trunk. This has been shaped when it was very young, no thicker than say 1/8 or 1/4 inch thick. Wires have been put on it and then taken off, and then it's left to swell. So these side branches are growing like that. So you can see that beautiful double Z bend that is going up there. You can bend it back and take it higher up if you want, or you can terminate the leader there. So you got to look at it from different angles to see which side is the most interesting. I'm going to only home in on one example because that's the example that one of our dear friends Sean here has chosen. It's not this one, but look at that one. That one again, it's got a beautiful trunk, beautiful S-shaped trunk. And it's got a tangle of branches there. Most of the branches seem to be in the right position, so you can see where the possible leaders are going to end up. So that's another one. So I'm just showing you very rapidly how these trees look when viewed from different angles. And when you go to especially bonsai nursery, these are not ordinary garden center nursery plants. These are bonsai plants which are being grown on for refinement. So that's another lovely tree, and that can be refined in, say, an hour or so, depending on how skilled you are, and you end up with a very, very beautiful tree. So that is the second one. But the one that we homed in on is this one. Let me take it out of the pot. The first thing you should do when you have any bonsai that you're going to work on is to take it out of its growing container, because only then can you see the roots going into the soil. We've cleaned the trunk a bit, and we are now looking at the tree from various angles to see what we make of this. So you can see that the bend is quite interesting. This tree, the way it has grown, is grown flat like this, so you can't really see the twists and bends. So we always have these blocks of wood to hand. So with the block of wood, what I will show you is prop it up to give you a better idea as to how the trunk would look if you propped it up that way. So if you look at that way, you can see the twists and bends much better. So that would be a nice angle to plant this one. So that is visible. And these branches are usable like this. And this is fairly open. So this could make quite an interesting front with that as the possible leader. But as I've always tried to tell you, whenever you have a piece of material that you're working on, never assume or get it fixed in your mind that a particular side will be the front. Looking at this tree, Sean and I were looking at this tree for quite a while, and we kept looking at this as the front, looking at this as the front. In fact, let me put it in one of these Japanese training pots. We were looking at the front like this. Nothing wrong with that. It's very credible because you can see the beauty of the trunk from this side. You've got all the branches ready at hand to use that could come down. So you can see straight away that this has got a lot of potential. But just out of sheer curiosity, we decided to look at the other side. And lo and behold, when you look at the other side, this, what we consider to be the back side, is also very interesting. Also very interesting. And we were just thinking or deciding whether this would be better from this side or the other side. If you study from each of these sides, okay, remember that in your mind. And now let me turn it again. And look at it this side. Now, Sean is behind the camera. What do you think? Do you prefer this side or the other side?
Definitely prefer
this side.
This side.
I think this is what I also thought, because we were looking at that side all the time as the front, because it had a nice open front, not cluttered, but it is not so dramatic. It's the same tree, mind you, but same tree looking at it from another side gives you a completely different perspective of what it looks like. It's somehow more elegant this side.
I think the top looks nicer from this side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leans.
Yeah, so if again you can open it out and you can just see the trunk much better and more clearly. So we will proceed to use this as the possible front. Okay, so if we look at this tree like that, some of these little bits I think we can dispense with. We will decide how to use these branches. because there are more branches than you need, but I don't want to get rid of them unnecessarily. Okay, that little one can come off. Again, remember, showing the trunk is an important part of the design process. Once you show the trunk, it begins to be more interesting. Okay, so these are possible first branch at the elbow. The branch always comes out from the elbow, the outside of the elbow, not from the inside. Always remember that, always from the outside. So this is a nice place to put that first branch there. And if I were to just use one branch, somehow it is not so interesting. Again, the famous bag trick. Okay, it's up to you. If you use one branch, that's okay. If you use two branches, it becomes fuller, but you may get that crossing effect. But at least keep it. It may have to swell the trunk, and at a later stage, you can decide which one to remove. So I wouldn't rush to take them off. What do you think?
Yeah, I
Keep
think
the
it's
two?
worth keeping two for a while. 'cause
For,
like I say, it
okay,
helps
you
fit-
agree.
fit
So
with the
we will
trunk.
keep those two. All right. People may disagree with me, but you see the logic. I'm keeping the two in case I want to take a decision later on when the tree is more mature. Nothing lost in that. And it'll help, as I say, to thicken the trunk. Okay, then there are a whole clutch of branches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches here, forming the second branch. Now, which one shall I take? It's coming out from the elbow. Again, there's 2 branches there. But this one hanging low here, what do you think about this one? Do you think we need this one?
I think that one doesn't show off the sort of shape of the trunk.
Absolutely right.
Could probably come off.
So probably we should, even this one, I will cut back a little bit. I know that I always say that don't make gin just for the sake of making gin, but we will use these for making gin, make it more dramatic. Also these, I could easily cut it back to the main trunk, but why don't we keep a little stub and use it for making a gin? It may make it interesting because gins on junipers grow or go very well. So let us use this for potential gins. Okay, so you can see the trunk better now just by doing that. Okay, there's another little stub here. I don't want that one. Now this one is growing on the inside. I don't think I need this one. All right, we can keep these for cuttings, Sean. If you take the trouble to make cuttings, you'll get trees very easily from that. So you see, we've rationalized that trunk already. Okay, much more open, huh? And you can see the beauty of that trunk. Okay, so from here, I have a clutch of these flat branches. I can use those. But this one coming down, this doesn't seem to do anything. Do you not agree? Yeah. Okay, so if you don't need that one, we'll get rid of it. Keep a little stub in case we need to make a gin or want to make a gin. Okay, so we got that. That one, I'm not so sure. We might do something with that. And then we will, okay, we won't think too far. Let's do some wiring here. So we're going to wire these 2 branches and the clutch of these branches. So we won't show you too much because I haven't got 4 hands, but just putting on wire, you don't need to see how that is done. Okay, I might just brush the trunk before the wires go on, but I don't think the trunk is going to be wired. It's only the branches. So we're going to wire these 2 branches and this clutch of branches like that to make these 2 pads. So we've got that far. We've put 3 pairs of wire, 1 pair of wire here, 1 pair of wire here, and another pair. So altogether 2, 4, 6 branches have been wired. So these long bits here we need to deal with. We don't need that branch that long, so we take these off. This is how junipers grow. They grow by throwing these long shoots up, and you got to control them by taking the tips out. Anything growing downwards we don't want. And then we can wire the pads as well. So same with these. And if you come closer, you can see how the wiring has been done. I've used 2.5 and 2 mil wire, and those two branches I've kept. So one is slightly higher than the other, so it will add a bit more interest. 2 levels of pads, and you can do the same with these. Have them at different levels, makes it a bit more interesting rather than have them all at one level. So that's, and this I won't dispose of. I want to fill this somehow. That I'm not sure. That I can probably decide in a minute. That's coming down. That I can use. I'll keep both of those. The very thin ones I probably won't need. So I've virtually got everything I need. And using this as a front, this is a lovely natural apex there. Beautiful crown. Absolutely beautiful crown. So the rest again is just wiring. So once you make up your mind, as they say, the thought process has kicked in, and once you decide on the design, it's simply a matter of wiring to execute it. So we're looking at similar thickness branches to wire together, and we will wire it and see what happens. Again, I don't think we need it that long. We wire it, we'll give it a zigzag. I'm trying to pair the two similar thickness ones, and we will finish it off by placing the branches in position after they've been wired. So next is just wiring again. So before I start wiring, I noticed that we have to remove a couple of thin branches. Now that one is interfering with the wiring here, and I don't really need it, so I get rid of that one. Now what about this one coming down? I think I can utilize this coming down very nicely here. But do I really need two like that? Well, I think one is enough. I don't think I need the other one. So maybe just keep it for jin in case I want to make a jin with that. All right, so there's going to be quite a few jins. Okay, so we're going to wire at the back, pair them off. So I can wire these two together and then these two. So they're all paired very evenly. So we'll carry on wiring all the rest of the branches. That's all we're going to do in the next few minutes. So let me show you where we've got to so far. We've got these pads, we've got that branch wired. So don't forget, I'm trying to create a nice triangular shape. These ones I don't want to get rid of. So I can wire these and make something out of that. This I can use. This little one probably I may not need. That I can possibly use. That I can wire. Now there's a lot of small debris around here. Get rid of the debris. I call it debris more than anything else. They're no more than like 3 millimeter, 2 to 3 millimeter thick. They're no good. So these can be wired. So in just a short space of time, we've resolved a lot of the confusion. So we will do some more wiring and you can see the end result very shortly. Let's show you the back. This is the back. This is the back. Got to do more wiring to flatten these pads. So we give depth by wiring those. So this is the back.
Which would still make a very nice front.
Yes, I know, I know. Keep it in a round pot and you can view it from every side. Okay, these can be wired as a flat pad, that can be wired. So the rest of just wiring. So we've got to this stage where we've wired the principal branches. All we now need to do is probably wire these small twigs to lie the pad flat. Anything hanging downwards we can either wire flat or get rid of them. We don't want to scalp too much. You would end up with nothing. That one is in the way. Probably take that off. We can possibly make gin with that. Okay, so what I would like to show you at this point is what to do with these stubs. Again, to refresh your memory, to make gin, we try to make the branch appear as if it's been broken by the storm rather than just cut flush. So we will do partial cut pointing outwards and then tear the wood back. That's how gins are made, like that. We tear it back. We're not doing any carving, we're just removing the bark to reveal the white wood. So all these little stubs we will gin, so you can complete it either with the gin pliers by crushing the bark. That's what the gin pliers is used for. Its principal use is for making gin. That's why it's called the gin pliers. Although I use it a lot for terminating wire. So with the Stanley knife, you can remove the bark, scrape away. So these also have to be gin. That has to be gin. I'm going to get Sean to complete these. So these are all going to be gin like that. All these little bits ginned. It always annoys me when people carve the trunk for no reason at all. I've seen so many people showing on their videos. They got a lovely trunk like that, they carve it just for the sake of carving. Never be tempted to do that. Carving is meant to be a means of enhancing the look of the tree. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it. It's a bad habit. A lot of people fall for that. Even the same with gins, only if it is appropriate. This is not too over the top, so a little bit of gin helps. You see these little bits here add to it, but if you do too much just for the sake of doing it, doesn't work. So these little stumps that we've made into gin probably would be quite a nice feature, but I certainly would advocate carving that trunk just for the sake of hollowing it out. So we're going to refine the wires or the branches a little more by putting fine wires over there to complete the pads, and we will show it to you again. So that's as far as we've got in just a couple of hours work, from a wild tree like that into that. And as I was telling my friend here, don't be in a rush to pot it up now. We're only on the 2nd of January. We're right in the middle of winter. I would wait till about mid-February. Another 5 or 6 weeks wouldn't hurt to wait, and we'll put it in a nice pot. I may show it to you again, but I may broadcast the video meanwhile to show you how we get to this stage from a very full bush like that.